Hi everybody, this is my Module 1 introduction for EDL 850. My name is Laura Anderson. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Valentine, Nebraska and then came to Sioux Falls to attend the University of Sioux Falls where I ran track and field. I am married. This is my third year of marriage. This is my husband, Jake. And I love reading. I don't teach language arts or reading, but I love to read for pleasure and I love to read to learn. One of my all-time favorite books I've ever read, Where the Crawdads Sing. If you haven't read it and you like to read, I really recommend it. Professionally, this is my 6th year as a teacher. I teach 8th grade math. Next year, I'm going to start teaching 8th grade math and accelerated math, which will be Algebra 1. I teach at Memorial Middle School, which is one of 5 middle schools in Sioux Falls. Next year, there will be 6 middle schools and 5 high schools. We currently only have 4 high schools. And then we also have like 27 elementary schools in our district. When it comes to local support within the government interacts with its own schools, known as public schools, at the federal, state, and local level. Each level of government provides a different amount of funding to schools and requires varying degree of accountability within the schools and school districts. So most funding comes from the local level. So local taxes, property taxes, the amount of funding that you get depends on your local tax rates and exemptions, and honestly the affluence of the community in which you are living in. State support, less than 50% of funding to schools come from our states. The State Department of Education plays a large role in our support system and establishes the standards for each core subject to implement into public schools. So the states make these decisions, and then they also give us their funding from state taxes, and 42 states in the U.S. also use state-run lotteries to find or provide funding to the different schools. Federal support. Federal government has the responsibility to ensure the right to a free and high-quality education for all K-12 students by protecting their civil rights and by providing resources for the most in need using public data and high-quality research, and by providing support and infrastructure for schools, districts, and states to help them continuously improve in their work. About 10% of funding for schools comes from the federal government. The federal government truly has a supporting role in education. They're there to ensure no student is denied equal rights to education based on race, ethnicity, gender, any disability, or any other protected status. They are there to provide compensatory funding to facilitate access to educational opportunities for high-need students, support education research and development, and in a manner consistent with both its unique advantages and limited capacity to support the development and conditions to promote continuous improvement of state and local education systems. So the federal government is more of like a support or a way to improve state and local systems. So state and local education governments make huge decisions in how the education system is run in their area, and then the federal government is there to support that. At a local level, each school district is governed by a school board whose members are either elected by the public or appointed. In Sioux Falls, our school board members are elected by our citizens. So the State Department of Ed draws the boundaries for each school district. So the state creates the school district boundaries. Then the school district citizens select the school board members. The school board members then select a superintendent. The superintendent then selects all the different administrators in each building, and the administrators select their faculty and staff. So if we look at that list, there's a different level of engagement and activity at each different level. So we have people, school board members choosing our superintendent, who choose our administrators, who then choose us to be educators within their building. And then as educators, we make the decisions that we think would best benefit our students. At the state level, we have the South Dakota House of Representatives in Congress. I think that they are in charge the highest amount because they are able to make legal decisions, such as if we should adopt Common Core or not, if we are going to keep the Common Core standards or make changes, and other legal decisions for the entire state. The State Department of Education then and the State Board of Education play a role, and also our State Secretary of Education. She plays a role in the decisions that are made. At a federal level, the U.S. Department of Ed collects data on the government-run or public schools, evaluates their performance, and suggests policy changes and measures outcomes. So the U.S. Department of Education plays a large role in determining and setting policy. And Congress, though, has the ability to write statute and distribute the funds. So anytime a budget is suggested, the Congress has the final vote on whether or not that budget will stand. So our Secretary of Education also is able to try to pass bills, but again, they have to go through Congress. The Department of Ed and the Supreme Court play crucial roles when it comes to legal issues such as Brown versus Board, Elementary and Secondary Education Act, Title I, Title VI, Title VII, Education for All Handicapped Children, No Children Left Behind, Common Core being implemented, and Every Student Succeeds Act being implemented. But then I also want to mention that Healthy, Hungry, Free Kids Act is the Department of Agriculture. So while the Department of Education plays a large role in our federal decision making for the education system, there are other departments that also play a role, like Department of Agriculture and Department of Health and Human Services. In relation to the three components of this standard, I would say that the local level of government evaluates, develops, and implements management communication technology, school level governance, operation systems that support each student's learning needs and promote the mission and the vision of the school. That's happening at a local level. The local school board knows what the mission is of the district, and they fight to promote that. The second component is happening, I would say, both at the state and also local level, where we evaluate, develop, and advocate for a data-informed and equitable resourcing plan that supports school improvement and student development. The state can look at how all the different schools and school districts are developing using data in the information collected, but also at the local level, we can compare how different middle schools, based on different demographics, are performing as well. The third component would be more of a federal and state level of government, reflectively evaluate, communicate about, and implement laws, rights, policies, and regulations. So there are overarching federal laws that are going to affect every school within our nation, but then there are also certain state laws that are going to only affect the schools within your state, such as adopting Common Core or not. How does all of this support educational success and well-being of each student and adult? I think education benefits so much more than you would ever be able to understand. So having the support of the different laws and different governing bodies is really critical. I really liked this summary of all my thoughts from the Harris article. The benefits of education go beyond the economic. Research strongly suggests that more educated adults live healthier, longer lives, and are less likely to divorce, have children out of wedlock, or commit crimes. It's not just about economic growth. It's about quality of life and social well-being. The divides in society increasingly fall along the lines of education. That is so true. The more educated you are, the more opportunities you have in life. Not only does education help students get further in life and have good jobs, it also improves their quality of life, and just being in a building and having that opportunity to learn with your peers really improves social well-being as well. This standard correlates to our activity because we are able to research all the different ways that the local, state, and federal governments influenced our education system. I was able to break down each piece of the standard and identify which governing system affected which portion. This was a great activity to begin our educational law class because it showed the different ways each steps of government affect different aspects of the education system. I feel as though I learned a lot from this activity about the way the federal government does and does not affect the local and state governments in decision-making policies. In reflection, this assignment will change the way I teach and learn by making me more aware of the ways that the government supports me. If I choose to take up a leadership role, I can use this assignment in multiple ways. Some examples would be that I would be able to utilize the local government in decision making that takes place within the school district. I would know who to talk to and what to talk to them about. And I would understand who and what entities can and will affect the financial aspects and funding of my school. These are my references. I really look forward to learning with you all and getting to know you throughout this semester.